Let's start back at the end of last year. You and I talked a couple of times last year.
hmm
Um, when you come to the ending that you do after a season that you had, there's that moment where you're in that moment and then you kind of step back afterwards and you look back. Is it hard to look back at a season that was a very successful one that doesn't get all the way to the mountaintop if you're a Buffalo Bill right now?
we've been close so many times, multiple times, to where, it does sting a little bit, but there's been so much success and so much happiness, just being a part of this squad and so many memorable moments and memorable games where, whether we came out on top or whether we lost, we've been a part of some legendary games, or at least I have been a part of some legendary games during my career here in Buffalo. And I'm very proud of that fact. And I try not to belittle that, even though, maybe we didn't win the AFC Championship game, but things that keep it in perspective is when my rookie year, Jerry Hughes told me that was when he won his first playoff game, was my rookie year, and he was on year like 11 or 12 at that point, and that was his first playoff win. And so just me being able to experience it every year so far, I try to never take it for granted.
There's that old thing that people have been talking about in sports forever, tap the rock. And you continue to tap the rock until dot, dot, dot. Is that the mentality that you go into each season with right now?
For me personally, that chip on the shoulder mentality, yeah, like you're saying, break the rock. It's something that I've heard since I was in college. Iowa used to do stuff like that, but then, um, it's a different level, but the job remains the same. The grinding, the beating on that rock every day, the consistency, and that's just, I mean, at any sport at the professional level, that's how it is. It's a constant grind, it's a consistency battle. It's not whether you can do it in general. It's whether how many times you can do it.
Last year, you got a chance to play more games, start more games than at any other time in your career. Over that span of time, that much usage, that much usage. When you take a look at that, you get to the off season. Does it change in any way the perspective of what you do? Is there more time needed for rest? Does it change the idea of how you get ready for the following season?
Yeah. For me personally, it was an increase, a workload last season. And I felt like I was fully prepared for that. And I took it with grace and was ready and willing to be able to do my role. And going into this off season, there may have been a little more aches and pains just from, like you said, more reps. But I think the mindset going into this last off season was almost more aggressive than it was a year ago, just on the mindset of it's another contract year's coming up, and just knowing that what my role was the year before and how I expect my roles to always expand, because I'm always looking to just improve or be better than I was last year so that my role can expand. Just having that mindset to always be ready for whatever my role may be.
And that role coming into this preseason was still to be defined because you guys brought in some players. You bring in a Joey Bosa, that's going to change some things right then and there. But
Mm-hmm.
you guys have a rotational group of guys, some depth along that defensive line. How has that worked out so far early on in terms of people understanding what their individual roles are?
Yeah, it's a unique thing. I mean, a lot of defensive lines used across the league, but I think here we have this, for now, this 3-man rotation, 4-man rotation we have going on. And we have a room full of guys that have a lot of drive and a lot of talented guys. I think the expectation is that, when someone's subbed out, the drop, there is no drop off. They're the same skill level as the starters. That's the expectation. That's the mindset. So whether you're rotating or you're starting, the mindset is just to dominate every single block, every single play.
So you come out, you play the first game, and you guys are in a hole, and you come back out of that hole with one of the most incredible comebacks that anybody has ever seen. It was historic in a lot of different ways. I think one of the things that people miss, AJ, in one of those comebacks is at some point or other, while the offense is coming back in, the defense has to contribute to that momentum being there. I'm not I'm not saying that when you look at how the game started that the defense wants to take all the credit for the win, but the ability to come back, that's part of the defense too, isn't it?
I mean, if you can keep them from scoring points, that's always good, right? But I mean, like you said, the defense ended up coming up big in the second half of that game. I think we had 3 drives where we made some pretty key stops, and it's like Coach McDermott says all the time. It's complementary football. We can we can get all the interceptions, all the fumble recoveries we want as a defense, but the offense still has to go score those points. You know what I mean? And field goals, special teams, they still have to give us great field position. And I think we have a full team that's buying into coach's message. And me being here for so long, I've heard it for so long. I mean, I feel like I've bought in, and just seeing these young guys kind of move in as well. I've only been here, so I don't know if it is unique, but I'd like to think it is. And just it's encouraging to have young guys buy into the system as well.
Let's talk for a second about a little crazy.
Okay.
Barehanded grabbing of snakes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So when I talked to you last time, I've talked to you a couple of times, this never came up. And it's not something that I would have guessed for you or for anybody else. I'm going to need a backstory on how it was that people on Hard Knocks saw you in the Everglades picking up pythons.
Okay. Um, so I wanna say maybe a few years ago, I came across an Instagram profile by the name of Python Cowboy, and Trapper Mike and I have become acquaintances, decent little friends, and talking to him for these past couple years, mentioning to him how I want to join him on a hunt, and that's what he specializes. He specializes in invasive species in South Florida, whether it's pigs, snakes, iguanas, certain kinds of ducks. That's what he specializes in there, and he basically just removes them from the ecosystem. And people go out on paid hunts and guides with him all the time. And I was fortunate enough to catch him at a good time this past off season. And he took me and probably about 5, 6 of my buddies and my brother from my home, took them out to the Everglades, and we just went searching for pythons.
You couldn't have started with ducks?
The initial thought was maybe the ducks or the iguanas, but this was our one chance for this off season. So we all kind of circled around like, dude, let's screw it. Let's go for the snakes.
Got to be scary at first, right?
It definitely was a little scary at first. I'm not a huge reptilian guy, reptile guy. But just the thought of catching a snake barehanded seemed pretty awesome to me. And my buddy actually grabbed the first one. There was some distance between us, and so he was able to kind of snag the first one. And once we passed that first one around, we all got to hold it a little bit. I think all of our confidence levels raised a few notches higher. So next snake we saw, I mean, it was pretty easy, just no fear. Everybody just reached down and grabbed a piece.
Is it strength? Is it quickness? What are we using here to pick up the snake?
It's a little bit of all of it. I think the biggest thing is just the intimidation factor. Yes, it's a 11-foot python standing in front of you, and it's intimidating, all this and that. But there's literally 6 of you and your buddies, and say the worst does happen. Say it does bite onto my hand. The thing I would have to do is not react. Don't pull my hand away because their teeth are hooked in, so it actually would make it worse. But it's not venomous. It's not poisonous. They're constrictors. So, I mean, if it did end up trying to wrap around you, I mean, you have your group of guys to kind of uncoil it. They will never even have the chance. And then if it bites you, unfortunately, it's like getting 2 needles in you, honestly. It could be destructive, not all the time. You just want to be on the safe side, I guess.
All right, so last thing on this subject. You are a very intelligent guy. You are a guy who has done a great job of taking what you've learned as a player from your days at Iowa, the NFL. So here's the thing. Does the snake thing translate over to when you have the pads on and you're on the field? Is there anything from that you've been able to take and say, you know what, I could use a little bit of this in the way I play?
Well, okay, I will say going into it, I thought grip strength would be, my biggest factor. I live with those gripper things. I literally have them on me all the time. All I do is sit around and squeeze those things. And that's what gave me my confidence when we went snake hunting, was that I know once I get my hands on this snake, I'm going to squeeze the crap out of it, and it's not getting out. And so I think that if anything, that might translate a little bit to footballs. When you put your hands on somebody and they can't take those hands off you, it's a good feeling.
AJ, it's always great talking to you and catching up. Thanks so much for the time and good luck.
Yes, sir. No problem. Thank you very much.